Hey guys, how you guys doing? I'm live. How you guys doing? Something tells me it's time for a guitar lesson. I'm going to call it Tales from the Wacky Side because I'm going to include some of the more irregular or fringe examples of music that I know and do. Rather than just mainstream, it's going to be more some of the fringe ideas that I think you might be interested in. So let's go. Let's try this. Okay. So first off, and I'll be quoting some examples, but not always. Sometimes I'll just do something of my own, or sometimes I'll show you something example that's known or is in history. First thing is a Dorian blues scale. That's pretty straightforward, actually. It's just a Dorian mode with a flat fifth. It's a combination of a Dorian mode and a blues scale. So if I'm in B, it would be... Very common in rock. If you make it Aeolian blues, like Randy Rhoads would do a lot of that. Well, it's an Aeolian mode with the flat five. So it's a combination of like an Aeolian mode and a blues scale. He does it like in Crazy Train. It's not six with it, so it's an Aeolian blues mode. It's weird, but it works. Paul Gilbert, in one of his instructions, thought of it, what he called it a wacky scale, but it really was a Phrygian blues scale. It's a Phrygian mode with a flat five, which really makes it a combination of Phrygian and Locrian, which is really kind of out there. We don't play that. So if I have a Phrygian mode, add a flat five, the B Phrygian mode with a flat five. Kind of different. But you can use like for the relative for playing a major pentatonic, but playing it as the relative minor, playing it a minor third down as the minor pentatonic. You could think of it as a Mixolydian mode, but played with a what would it be? With probably a minor third added to it, but you're not thinking of it that way so much. You're thinking of it as if you play that down from the major, if I play it down a minor third as a minor or Phrygian scale, and then add the B flat if I'm in E Phrygian, but you get more of a Phrygian blues feel, and that's what I'm doing here. So that's kind of interesting and weird. So a B Phrygian blues would be for a D Mixolydian, but you would have a D Mixolydian with an added minor third, which would be an F, and the diminished fifth from B is F. So that's pretty kind of weird. But I'm going to get a little more weird than that. Yngwie Malmsteen, he in classical style, you have straightforward is that if you have an Aeolian mode with a raised seventh makes a harmonic minor scale. So say I'm in the key of E, and I take an Aeolian mode, which would be, and I sharp the seventh, I get an E for E harmonic minor. relatively straightforward. But the next thing you can do, and then with that E harmonic minor, you get a D sharp diminished seventh arpeggio. And then you can go back to the D minor triad. Which is cool. Go a little further out, try a melodic minor is a Dorian mode with the major seventh. So now I'm going to do that in E. First, if I did in Dorian mode, E Dorian mode. Raise the third, and now I would have an E melodic minor scale. Out there, you don't get a diminished seventh in this case. If you're in E melodic minor, you have a D sharp minor 7 flat 5, but not a D sharp diminished seventh. The D sharp is a half diminished seventh. And the sixth in E is the C sharp, and that C sharp makes the D sharp diminished thing into a D sharp half diminished because it has a C sharp which is the major, which is a minor seventh rather than the C which would be a diminished seventh. If I had a C, I would go. That would already make it an E. That would make it an E harmonic minor again. If you raise that to a C sharp, now that implies E melodic minor. That's a cool scale, though. It's a little weirder than that. Yngwie Malmsteen, he did Far Beyond the Sun. He only did it for a second and it went over everybody's heads, I think, and I caught it. But he's playing in C sharp harmonic minor. So the C sharp harmonic minor, which implies a C diminished seventh. In the C sharp minor. He doesn't just end there. He doesn't leave it at that. He's playing a part where he's going. So there's the dominant, major dominant chord. This is G sharp major, which would be the dominant, major dominant chord in C sharp harmonic minor. But then he does a really cool and weird thing. It goes down to G diminished seventh. And then back up to G sharp major. What that essentially he's trying to do, he's trying to take a Phrygian mode, which is a Phrygian is the dominant mode in harmonic, in minor, and Phrygian dominant is the dominant mode in harmonic minor. I'll call it Phrygian dominant in this case. So it's C sharp Phrygian, C sharp harmonic minor. So the G sharp is in G sharp Phrygian dominant. But then the G diminished seventh is literally a major. It's literally a diminished seventh on the major seventh note of the Phrygian mode. So it would be implying a Phrygian mode with a major seventh. As soon as you play a G diminished seventh, you're playing a major seventh, G sharp. Let's do it again. Weird team for me. And then back to the G sharp major. It literally implies a Phrygian mode with a major seventh, and it even includes a major second. Because the major seventh would be a major second in the Phrygian mode, so it's really taking things out far. But I like that. I like those sounds. We're playing G sharp Phrygian dominant. We play G dominant diminished seventh. It's strange, but it works. It goes back to the regular thing. He gets away with it because it sounds cool. I like it. So the Phrygian, it would be like a instead of an Aeolian with a major seventh with major harmonic minor, or a Dorian with a major seventh with major a melodic minor, it's a Phrygian with a major seventh, which is just wackos, pedacos to me. I mean, but it works. It sounds good. I like it. I mean, that's a high point of the song for me because he pulled out something different in music when he did that. He never did it again. I never heard it done before. Maybe he did it again, but I don't remember. But I never heard it done before. So there's that. Coolness, eh? Now a thing in Eruption, which I think is cool. This kind of seems to go over everybody's head too, but I'm going to talk about it anyhow. In the part of Eruption where Eddie makes a mistake, he even admitted it was a mistake, but he didn't say what, but that's what I think it was. He tries to go like this when he goes, after that little bit, after that, he mistakenly goes, he meant to go, he meant to do a Dorian, an A Dorian, but he went up a half step accidentally to the 18th fret, but it works. So going up a half step by mistake or on purpose is actually cool. Isn't that beautiful? You meant to go. It's beautiful though. And speaking of Eddie again, in when he was doing when he was playing at the festival that I heard down the street, it was the '83 US Festival when Van Halen was playing in the summer of '83, and he was playing Bottoms Up. No, we're going to go like this. That's what he's supposed to do, but he went like this on accident here. He missed it by a half step. He went up too far. It sounds beautiful to me, though. It sounds beautiful. It's a mistake, but it's beautiful. Anyway, now more weird stuff. I'm gonna go into some Joe and Steve. Well, let's do Eric first. Eric Johnson, when he does Puss It Over. There's a part where he's transitioning out of the guitar solo. So the solo progression is. Last bars of it, you get, instead of that, he goes. Wait, let's see what he does. Oh, he goes like this. He goes. That's what he does. He goes. transition back into the melody. So that tells a lot of story. And I'm going to explain that. It's in G Ionian. So basically, you would have C major, C major, D major, and E minor. But here, instead of playing a D major, which would be the five chord, and in G major, he instead plays D sharp diminished. And then instead of playing E minor, he plays E major. And then he goes back down to D major, which is the dominant chord in G major. That weirdness shows in his solo, because when he plays the D sharp diminished, he plays this. He goes, got it. He goes like this. Okay, hear that? That's it. So this part is a D sharp diminished seventh arpeggio. That fits. But then what does he do next is telling. Because if it were E minor he was going to, he would play the minor third, which is G, for the next couple notes, but he doesn't. Let me explain. He plays first the D sharp diminished seventh arpeggio, Then he goes from. Then he plays the D sharp to E, which is the major seventh to the E root. That's to be expected. But then you would expect a minor third next, because that would make it E minor. But he goes flying E major. That means instead of E harmonic minor, it's E harmonic major. So he's actually playing a D sharp diminished seventh to E major, which implies, and is soloed as, an E harmonic major scale. Then he goes to the actual E. That's this. Then he goes next for that. He goes. Yeah. So for the E, he goes. Okay. Now that. And then for the D. That's correct. For the E. So for that E major, he solidifies it as E harmonic major because he plays B to C. And C is the flat six in E, so it's an E harmonic major scale. He still sticks to it. That's E harmonic major. It literally is this. E harmonic major scale. When what it should be in the key of G, like it should be, is an E alien. Really weird but cool. Really strange, but I dig it. Now for Joe and Steve. Go for Johnny Steve I. Joe, saying Joe is weird is like saying the sky is blue. Of course, you knew that. But let's get into some of the specifics of it. Let me think about this for a second. Where do I start first with Joe? I'm going to start with one of his cool things. Well, let's say that you're in, I'm going to make a weird key, and I'm going to say, let's say I'm in, let's say I'm in A sharp harmonic minor. It's already a weird key, but there's a reason I picked that key. So A sharp harmonic minor. The main mode is A sharp harmonic minor. Dominant mode is E sharp Phrygian then lost here. That's correct. Okay. That's A sharp, E sharp, E sharp, Phrygian dominant. But what's weird is if you play the fourth note instead, which is a D sharp, Dorian, sharp 4. It's the fourth mode of Phrygian of harmonic minor. So if I'm an A sharp harmonic minor, the fourth mode is D sharp, Dorian, sharp 4. And before I mention that little thing, it's used in a song called "Don't Fear the Reaper" by Royce Cult, where he goes. The version in here would be. Very haunting. It's been called the evil scale, and Royce Cult uses it in "Don't Fear the Reaper." It's part of the melody or riff or lead. But Joe does it. The reason I picked the weird key I picked is because Joe uses it in a song called Ice 9, which is in the key of C sharp Dorian. And then when he goes to solo, he goes. So now he's suddenly in D sharp. We could call it D flat, but I'll call it D sharp for now. And it would be D sharp Dorian, but he doesn't play D sharp Dorian exactly. He plays D sharp Dorian sharp 4, which is the fourth mode of A sharp harmonic minor. Ouch. So he goes. Oh, that's what he does. Okay. I'm on my key there. Wait a second here. D sharp. There we go. So he's in D sharp, Dorian sharp 4. Something like that, yeah. But it's a weird note. It's Dorian sharp 4. Yeah, there we go. I'll put the patterns there. Oh, there we go. Now it's fine. Very strange, very weird note. But that's Joe. Anyway, that's a cool weird thing Joe does. And Dorian sharp 4 is a really cool mode. I like it. It's like I said, it's sometimes called the evil scale. Joe does a thing called pitch axis. It's where you play any mode you want, just stick to the same root note. And he does it many times in his career. I like when he does Dorian to Lydian back and forth. He does that a lot. Again, in Ice 9. That implies C sharp Lydian. That implies C sharp Dorian. So it's back from Lydian to Dorian. Very cool sounding to me, but it implies C sharp Lydian to C sharp Dorian. I love that. He does that. What else did he do there? I like. Let me think here. I like other modes he does that are similar, that use in a pitch axis approach. I like Not of This Earth. This implies E Lydian. That implies E Aeolian. Back to E Lydian. It's Lydian. So it's E Lydian. So when you solo, you have to go E Lydian, E Aeolian, E Lydian, E mixed Lydian all over it. It's really not easy to do. You can go crazy soloing, but it's really cool progression. That's E Lydian. That's E Aeolian. That's E Lydian. And then E mixed Lydian. And then over and over. I like that. It's pretty cool. You can jam it, make your own. Make your own thing. He also uses pitch axis in the song called Sass Boogie in the tapping interlude. Really cool stuff he does there. All modes are used, a lot of different modes and stuff. I like that. But I won't go into all that. You can tap it or learn it, and just analyze it for yourself. It's Lydian, Dorian, Aeolian, chromatic stuff, Lydian, Dorian, Aeolian, Lydian, Aeolian, harmonic minor, mixed Lydian, Lydian, mixed Lydian, Lydian, mixed Lydian, Lydian, mixed Lydian, mixed Lydian. And then he goes, I like that. Again, pitch axis, it was all based on A, but different modes. Okay. More Steve and Joe. In fact, let's go back. Let's revert to Steve now. I like Steve. He does some cool stuff with when he plays like a chord that's majestic and then solos over it. And I think it goes over people's heads, but it's really clever how he does it. If he's playing in key of E, let's say, he can do an E Dorian by first playing this. It's a beautiful chord. It's a minor. It's an E minor 11 for pitching. Could be extended all the way to go. too many notes, too many strings. So I'll just go. And he picks E Dorian usually for that. So we'll play a weird, cool chord. What's cool too, you can just take the top few notes up a half step. Now he's got an E major 7 sharp 11 chord, which could be extended to go. But too many strings, too many notes. So he'll just usually do it like this. That implies Lydian mode. So this is E major 7 sharp 11. So that would imply E Lydian mode. So he'll go. That was correct, right? I just love that stuff. I mean, he'll make it symphonic, like really majestic sounding, and it's not that hard if you get the concept down. That's E Lydian, and that's E Dorian. Then he'll just change it up. He may do E Lydian. He'll do a G sharp Dorian. Would he do that? Let's do it again. E Lydian. Let's do C sharp minor 11. That's the same thing. Here we go. E Lydian. So E major 7 sharp 11. G sharp. Oh, then let's do G minor 11. Or could do G sharp minor 11. Whatever works, I guess. I like that. The way he mixes it up. I don't know exactly how he works with it, and I could just make it my own too. But we could do A minor 11, the E major 7 sharp 11. It's just really cool. You can just make your own music with it. So that's all cool stuff to me. So back to Joe Satriani. He's got some arpeggios that are weird. They're all 6-string arpeggios, and the one I like, the two I like the most. First of all, if I'm in E, it would be an E minor 11, like I was talking about. I mean, he plays it all out. Let me clean it up a little. Here are the notes. So minor 11. You sharp the top 3. It's an E major 7 sharp 11. Then back down to E minor 11. And back to E major 7 sharp 11. lot of that in the Mystical Potato Head Groove thing. It's a song he has where he does a lot of that. He music like this and does it one hand, whatever. I like to think it teaches own. That's cool stuff. Anything else that's cool on my mind? I just wanted to go like a little bit extreme. Some of these little ideas don't get talked about because we're too busy talking about the main details. But sometimes it's the little weird stuff that can actually be cool. So anything else? Oh yeah, I'm going to end with this. At least include this. The enigmatic mode is so cool. It's got a root, a flat 9, a major third, an augmented fourth, an augmented fifth, an augmented sixth, and a major seventh. So in E would be E, F, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C double sharp, G sharp, and E. Very strange. Joe does it in a song called The Enigmatic. He does it in the key of E. And he goes something like this. What he does. Sounds too low to me. I forget exactly what key he's in when he does it. Let's say he's in E. Oh, let's say he's in E. Oh, there it is. Beautiful key, though. I'm sorry. It uses thirds, but there are all kinds of wacky thirds. If you're in the key of E, you have a G sharp with a major third on top of it. Then you have an F with an augmented third on top of it. You have E with a major third on top of it. D sharp with a diminished third above it. Back to the E with a major third. So it's major third, augmented third, major third, diminished third, major third. And here in the bass notes, you have a double augmented fourth, which sounds like a perfect fifth, and then an augmented fourth, which sounds like a diminished fifth. So a double augmented fourth, then augmented fourth, or it sounds like perfect fifth to diminished fifth. It really isn't. It's really a double augmented fourth to an augmented fourth, but it sounds like a perfect fifth to a diminished Very cool sounding. And it just gets it from playing thirds up and down in the key of E in enigmatic mode. So, is that all I want to say? Just remember, or forget, but then remember again. Don't be afraid to just play something different. Don't be afraid if no one's ever done it, or it feels like you might be wrong because it doesn't sound familiar. Just go with your gut, and it may be a new thing. Yes, we live in rock and roll.